Hello everyone, and welcome to your Sue Bonsai. Today we have a Picea aves with a little backstory. First, let's go through the tools for today. We have a 3.5mm wire, 3mm, 2.5mm, 2mm, and finally a 1mm. This is bought as a package set from Amazon for £25 in total. Then for tools, we have a wire cutter and a pair of pliers, which were part of a package set from B&Q for £5. And here I start working on the gym. I will apologise for the terrible camera angle. I've now got myself a tripod so I can film from my perspective when working on my tree. Here I am applying some lime sulphur, which bleaches the deadwood areas, as well as protecting those areas from rotting. Now, time for the backstory. So this Picea I bought from B&Q 2 years ago for £10 as a Christmas tree, with the intention of making a bonsai shortly after Christmas Day. Here's a photo of it all dressed up for Christmas, and shortly after that, later on in spring that year, is when I gave it its first styling. Being a complete newbie to bonsai at this point, I repotted and sold the tree at the same time, which is not advisable. That being said, it did survive, and as you can see, it's changed a lot from the first styling to what it is today. This was a result of poor knowledge on my part, as well as a hard summer last year in 2022, where it nearly died completely. Luckily it bounced back this year, which allowed me to cut back to inner growth. It is necessary to cut back to buds close to the trunk to establish a better scale. In terms of technique, I'm still learning myself. Where I can, I will try to use a 2-branch method when it comes to wiring. With any needle species, it is important to not crush any needles. For the tips, I tend to make a spiral cage so I can dictate the direction of growth without crushing any needle. This tree has been in a mix of perlite and Johnnings No. 2 for 2 years now. When I first repotted this tree, it only had thick chunky roots, as it was field grown originally, and it was being kept in that thick organic soil. Over the next year or two, I will be transferring it to a fully inorganic mix, as what I don't want to do is leave it in an organic mix and end up getting root rot. Going back to the starting of this tree, during summer 2022 we had a heat wave which seemed to never end. The tree couldn't keep up due to improper watering on my end and a less than ideal position, full sun all day, 30+ degree heat. The sunlight and heat wouldn't have been an issue if I could have kept up with the watering, but it would have meant watering 4 times a day, and unfortunately I do have a full-time job. So because of this, the top quarter of the tree dried up essentially. The top 3 or 4 branches all just completely died off, which meant I had to cut back to the nearest growth to the top, which would now be considered the apex of this tree. in cutting that back, I decided to make a kind of lightning strike effect. Instead of just cutting it all the way back and keeping the tree as it was, I thought a chin at the top might add something extra to this design. Bonsai as an art form, I think is quite subjective, but there are objective techniques we apply. Wiring, cutting back to interior growth, trying to compact the tree down as much as possible to get that scale. For this tree, I'm going for more of the alpine kind of snow load on the branches, meaning that they droop down from the trunk and scoop up at the ends. I'm just looking to fill these pads out over the next couple of years, hopefully get some back budding, maybe even from the trunk, where I think I've cut a few branches back too much. You know, when I first bought this tree, as I said, I was a complete newbie. I just hacked away at it, done whatever I thought was right at the time. As I say, I'm trying to do bonsai on a budget. It can be quite an expensive hobby. Pots, the trees themselves, the tools. I'm just trying to do it as inexpensive as I possibly can. I enjoy the hobby, and I don't believe you have to spend thousands to get into it. Of course, there are levels. So here I'm just continuing to wire out each branch, starting from the bottom to the top. I'll start with the primary branching, which is the first branch that comes away from the trunk. And then the secondary, which is the sub-branching from that primary. And then the tertiary, which, to be honest, this tree hasn't really got much tertiary growth at the minute, due to cutting back constantly, trying to compact as much as I can. Each time I cut this tree back, I'm cutting back to buds. I'm trying to cut back to 2 buds. This starts that ramification process. The thicker the pad gets, the more realistic it looks. On an elongating species, this isn't easy to do. Luckily, this species of Picea does backbud. You just have to kind of force it by constantly pinching growth and cutting back when you can. And there we have it, all cut back for this year. Essentially, the idea is just every time that I approach one of my trees, I'm trying to make it a little bit better than it was before. Bonsai is a slow process. It requires a lot of patience, a lot of time. Rome wasn't built in a day. If you'd like to know more about myself, the channel, and my bonsai journey, please like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And thank you for watching.